The real key to restorative practices has been, it's allowed us to move away from the punitive consequences. I mean, when you consider traditional schooling, we have been so punitive based for so many years, and what we were looking for was a different way, to deal with problems as they occur in school, with relationships being at the heart of it. So, upskilling people to be able to do that has been really critical. And having someone with the expertise of Marg to come in and do the training with people en masse, and to have our staff fully trained across 3 days, has allowed us to shift into that space of saying, that we can teach students and staff about empathy better, and that the key to it is to restore a relationship that has been damaged in some way. And having people with the skill base to be able to do that across all parts of the school is key to changing culture in the school. Our school principles and values that are clearly communicated in our strategic priorities, and over the next 4 years we're going to focus heavily on well-being, on building community, and obviously learning is key to that. And as Denham tells us, student learning and the student as a learner and the student as a person are so connected that the two have to sit beside each other. And having that well-being focus and building community through establishing great relationships is critical to be able to improve student learning outcomes, and that's what this is all about. And we know that if kids are happier at school and we're dealing with less problems in classrooms and our teachers are really skilled to handle things better themselves, then we know that kids will learn better as well. The process of implementation here at Heatley that we've undergone has been very much focused on identifying the key people in the wellbeing roles. So we focused very much on getting our guidance officers, our community education counsellor, our year coordinators, our heads of student wellbeing, people that work in those roles within the college, and having them participate in the full 3-day training with Marg. Having that small team with the real expert skills and the ability to use restorative practices regularly is critical to the whole thing. But at the same time has also been the need to develop our teachers' skills as a whole, and that they've all got the ability to go and conduct restorative chats, which are obviously less time consuming than a full restorative conversation and process, but equally as important. So we certainly have our experts, our fully trained experts, and even some of those early adopters teachers sharing their best practice with everybody else in regular PDs and staff briefings, and all of those opportunities that we get regularly throughout a school year has been critical to it, as well as identifying the next group of people that need to participate in the full training. So that's been a key here at Heatley. Well, fundamentally it's created a deeper understanding of individuals, and and I think there's that shared respect from student to student, or student to teacher, staff to student, in all of those areas. It's about walking in the shoes of other people and truly understanding the experiences and how maybe, our individual actions have impacted on somebody else. And it's only with that understanding that comes deep learning, around our own behaviour. So the key to it is teaching about those relationships, and having individuals identify, like the empathy that I talked about before, and having that to truly believe that the relationship is worth restoring. So that's fundamentally the number one, I think, gain. I mean, and outside of that has been a massive reduction, a greater than 40% reduction in short-term suspensions over last year, in 29 here at our college. And also the reduction in referrals has been substantial as well. And that's all a real significant part of our positive behaviour for learning framework. So it's a really important part of that, and of our student code of conduct as well, which is being developed for 2020. So there's some great benefits that come out of restorative practices right across the school. Our greatest challenges that we've experienced, I think, largely set around mindset and shifting that mindset. like I said at the beginning when I started talking today, schools are so traditional with how we've had punitive consequences forever. And sometimes shifting that mindset is a very, very difficult thing to do. And I think sometimes restorative practice can be seen as a soft option, but it's far from that. It's a very deep learning that occurs, and I think is well worth the time investment, because you certainly do get a much better outcome than simply suspending students from school, and removing them from the community for a period of time. So for us, it's about building that community that we know is really important. And and so that has been the greatest challenge, and I guess overcoming those mindsets with regular sharing of best practice has been key, and we'll certainly continue to do that as we have more and more staff engage in the full training, and obviously all of our teachers engaging in regular professional learning at staff meetings and other learning opportunities throughout the year as well. And that mind shift is certainly is moving. And it's great to see that happening right across the college now. The advice that I would, I guess, give to anyone that's looking at implementing restorative practices is to start small. Identify your key small group of staff that are your early adopters and are those that are going to put it into practice and use it straight away. That's critical. It's like any PD we ever go to. There's not much point learning of all of this and then never implementing it. So using the skills, learning, exactly what Marg teaches us, and then even, in conducting restorative chats and having all of our teachers with their lanyards that they wear around their neck with the questions that are designed to facilitate a restorative chat is really important. So, certainly start small, but engage in the formal training with experts like Marg and the other experts that we certainly have within our region. That is really important. Just some cautions along the way. I would probably say that be patient. It is really important that you don't expect that culture to change overnight. It takes a lot of work and effort, and there's a great deal of time investment. A really well-managed restorative conversation is time consuming, but well worth the time. So I would certainly be cautious in don't expect to see the results change immediately, don't expect to see, the brilliant take-up of all of your staff, but stay the course with it, and you'll certainly see the outcomes and the benefits that restorative practices brings to a school community.